Welcome back, good people of St. Anne's. Now you may have noticed on the last podcast, a little different intro song. We just wanted something a little more upbeat, a little more us,
I like it.
you know.
I like it.
I think the problem with the old, yeah, a little more us. Yeah. I think the problem with the old one was it was really moving, really inspirational.
Yeah.
And then we come in, and it's like, maybe not the vibe people are thinking. So anyway, I hope you guys like the new intro. I did. I had a lot of fun.
It's a great tune.
It's great. Tune. Really gets you going.
Yeah, a little remix.
Okay, so Lent's almost over, Father. A couple of weeks here. Mm-hmm. How would you say Lent's been going for you so far?
Fast. You know, it happens every year as a priest. Like the first couple of days are grueling. You know, Ash Wednesday especially is a beautiful day. Spiritually, it really is. Packed at the church. And Thursday, Friday after Ash Wednesday. In fact, that's, you know, in the missal we pray from at the Mass. That is the title of the ritual. The heading on the page is Thursday after Ash Wednesday, Friday after Ash Wednesday. Yeah. So the reason why I bring that up is because those are really long days for me. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but then it seems like once I get to the second Sunday for me, it's very subjective. Then it just flies. Yeah. You know, and then I get to this point and the Gospels have really been impactful for me. I think due to vigilance, as you good people know that are coming to the Bible study, and please, we got a couple of sessions left this Tuesday. Tomorrow night, as you watch this, March 24th, we're covering the big ones of Lent, right? So, Woman at the Well, and the healing of the blind man. These 40 verse Gospels that are long in church, right? Like already enough, and then. As we just heard, right, the raising of Lazarus. And so those have really been moving for me, and it's been beautiful. So, but and we're gonna get to it, right? But the Triduum's just a week and a half away, and there's just nothing like it. And that's not cliche. There is nothing like
it's great.
The sacred Triduum of the Catholic Church, right? Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Holy Saturday. So
absolutely, yeah. No, I look forward to Triduum every year, and you know, as many of you know, or maybe don't know, we just moved here over the summer, and so excited to experience our first Triduum at St. Anne's.
Welcome.
So, you know, big expectations.
Yeah, we're. I think it'll nourish you.
So a quick question, and then we can get more into it.
Let's do it.
For the Easter Vigil, do you do all the readings?
All the readings. Yes. Count them up. Count them up.
Yeah, you got to have them all. That's just why miss out? It's salvation history. So.
Yeah, I just don't like that pulling the plug on it. So we're having all of them.
Great, love it. Speaking of Lent, every Lent I'm kind of like, you know what I'm going to do better this time? I'm going to read more. Same amount of books sitting on the shelves, unread. I do a lot of audiobooks, which I don't know, maybe a little cheating. I enjoy audiobooks, but there is, I think, something important in sitting down, turning the pages, opening the book. So that brings us to our Ventus segment. Books. God, I mean, similar. I feel like every category, maybe, and again, if the good people of St. Anne want more after Lent, maybe we'll get back into some of these categories, and we'll go a little smaller scope instead of just books, and we'll go by genre or whatever. But for today, we're going books. So just top 7 books, any genre, anywhere you want to go. 7 top, okay. Yeah, and so again, no necessary order, but just those books that you're just like, I love these books. Yeah, and The Likeness of Christ by Edward Lean, Leen, top my favorite for sure. I'm reading it now. It's The Mystery of Joseph, book on Joseph. Beautiful book by Father Serafino. Highly recommend it. So those are 2 good spiritual ones. Bridesheads Revisited, Evelyn Waugh is great, right? Great book. Mere Christianity is really solid. Hard to beat. Yeah, Love and Responsibility by Karol Wojtyła is huge for me. I think that's 5, right? Yeah, that's a dense one. Yeah, it is very dense. Yeah, it needs a reader, but I'd love to do like a group on it or on a dinner table, and no dinner, but just dive into it. John Paul II's thought as priest, right? He wrote it as priest, as Cardinal Archbishop, maybe. What is that, 5? 6. I'll tell you what, it's too bad now, but I read it in high school and then again in college, and then I think one more time in seminary.
The first, before everything shook up, the first autobiography of Lance Armstrong is really good.
Yeah, interesting.
It's hard to like go back to these things because like they have certain lives and they're colored, but
Yeah.
I'm just answering the question. And then a great one is The Greatest Generation by Tom Brokaw.
Yeah.
That's 7, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So kind of all over.
Yeah, I have not read as many biographies as I think I should.
I want to read more.
Yeah, those are always really good. If I'm not reading science fiction or fantasy, which that's where I usually go.
Sure.
I really like historical fictions, which are kind of biographies, but it's more of the time period.
Yeah.
Like I know they made a movie and it was really popular, but the book Unbroken, did you ever read
Very
that?
good. Yep.
Or
Excellent.
The Boys in the Boat.
Yeah.
Have you read that one?
Yes.
So good. So I really like those kind of books.
Got
Where
it.
it's just like
Got it.
These things you've always kind of heard of, but then you get to like hear the whole story of these moments, which is really cool. So
Good.
So we brought up books, Father, and on episode 1 in the Examination of Nonsense, I asked Harry Potter, beautiful or and you said, I don't want to answer that. We're talking books now.
No.
Do you want to answer it? Put you on the spot here.
Yeah, let's tie it into maybe our work today.
Okay.
Luke, if I can do
do
this.
it.
So I think the big contrast, right, is between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. So I think we had to be careful about compare and contrast. I think what was it? Yeah, didn't C.S. Lewis himself say comparison is a thief of joy?
Correct.
Great line, and it's true. It really is. So. I'm not gonna. I think that's another conversation. I really do think it is. Without being neurotic, is the comparison and contrast between the two books. So I'm just gonna answer the question in terms of Harry Potter. Can you read Harry Potter? I think so.
And not go to hell.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So like, it just depends on what your goal is, and right. So we can't overstate that in terms of like what is our end, right? Thomas Aquinas taught famously, "In the end is our beginning," and so the reason why he says that is because he himself and the saints before him and after him, and maybe it's lacking if for all of us, kind of in the church, is really how central we have to approach prudence, right? So the question is not a moral question; it's a prudential question,
right?
Because there isn't the subjective nature of it is very, very high, and so we want to be careful about making something doctrinal that's not doctrinal, something dogmatic that's not dogmatic,
right.
in nature, right? So prudentially speaking, read it and approach it. My biggest thing is to be aware of that when we're after symbology and the invisible world and the place of magic.
Yeah.
If it's to satisfy our entertainment heart and we practice prudence and temperance, go for it.
Yeah.
Once those things are shoved down, whether we're 12 or 72, then we have problems. But you can say that about anything.
Right.
So anything imprudently used, anything intemperately used is a problem. And so in terms of the content of it, I think it's important for young people, so here's where I kind of rest.
Yep.
It's for young people to have parallel to them the great lives of the saints who call upon the supernatural world.
Yep.
A real supernatural world that is not magic, but is divinely willed. And for them to see imagination at work versus imagination formed by reality. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And then, I hand it off to parents from there. But that's kind of but I think it's a great tie-in because I think at the end, I know we're going to go to break, but we're going to talk a little bit about the Triduum, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Holy Saturday, Luke. And that's filled with signs and symbols that should lead our imagination to what actually happened.
Right.
And that's huge, I think. So for our minds is to recognize, like, sure, if it has its place for entertainment, let's just make sure that we're giving the Word of God, the written down lives of the saints, and the great classics out there. Some of them are behind your head and behind my head. Let's make sure that they're getting a fair shake too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think
that's it.
I think that's a great point. And I mean, I know for me, I mean, Harry Potter, basically the first book came out right around when I was 11. And,
Sure.
Right, it took the world by storm. I read it and loved it because it was just the storytelling and the characters and all this. But as I come to an adult, I think even what you're saying, again, it's that where is it leading me? And I always think of Ignatius of Loyola, right? He kind of had this thing he called the one principle, which it's our job to love and serve the Lord with all of our heart, mind, and soul.
Beautiful.
Everything else is secondary. So embrace that which leads you to Christ and reject that which takes you away. So I think and you've brought this up a lot, and I think it's really important for our time. And it ties into kind of, I think, my quote from Agentes in talking about mission. It's just that idea of being prudent and establishing a firm base and a firm attachment to Christ so that we can process all these other things in the right light.
Yeah.
If you read Harry Potter and it leads you to want to live out the virtues of faith, hope, and charity more, great.
Absolutely.
If you read it and you find yourself, because I know this happens to me whether it's TV or movies, where you start rooting for evil, you're like, I hope that guy dies. You're like, wait, that's maybe not the most and again, these are works of fiction, but again, where does it lead our heart?
Yeah.
Are we nicer to people after we read this book or watch this show, or do we find ourselves kind of like, I kind of want to be like this character? So I think prudence is key. At the same time, because prudence is key, it's because of our role as Christians in the natural world. And so again, this quote from Agentes, again, going off of what we talked about last week, the sacraments, we're called as Catholics to be coming to the church and coming and entering into worship in the way God desires us to worship, right? It's not so much about us, but it's about the way God has set things up and the ways he wants to love us and pour grace into our lives. And so that's step one. We got to come, we got to drink deeply from the well of Christ. But you're in a slightly different position, but especially for a lot of the people listening, for us as the Christian laity, we can't just live at the church. Right? We can't stay at church all day. We got to go home to our families, our jobs, our friends, our coworkers. And so this quote from Agentes says, the most important and therefore worthy of special attention are the Christian laity. So again, in this work of mission, the Christian laity are often the most important and worthy of special attention, namely those who have been incorporated to Christ and live in the world. For it is up to them, imbued with the Spirit of Christ, to be a leaven working on the temporal order from within to dispose it always in accordance with Christ. So again, we who are experiencing the sacraments and are imbued with the Spirit of Christ, incorporated into Christ, are called to be a leaven working on the temporal order. So we hear that word actually a lot in Scripture, and I think it's a common kind of analogy. What does it mean to be leaven in the world, Father? What does that mean for you and me to be leaven in our daily life?
Yeah, I think it's, so in short, I think it's to leave people and to leave moments with the goodness of God. And I want to say it that way because I want to bring the cognate between leaven and leave. Is that I think there's a lot of good intention out there, but to do it when it's not easy, right? You're like, this is one of the problems of evil, right? It's easy to be holy in the church.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's
more time you spend in the sun, the better your tan is.
Yeah,
right? It's just
precisely right. Precisely, and so, it can just be on the table. Like, of course, it's difficult. I'm not saying it's not to go into the accounting firm or go into the hospital or go into the school building or going, out into the field, whatever your profession is and your vocation is. It's hard to be holy when it's hard. Mm-hmm. And I say it kind of like with a smile because I think some of us want it to be easy.
Yeah. But Jesus said in scriptures that it would be easy.
Right.
Take up your cross.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, we didn't.
So that's what I would hand off. Like I think this handed on to me some time ago, but I hold that true to me. So for instance, like visiting a home for dinner. Coming up as confirmations, maybe a confirmation party or social, a wedding social, I'm talking my life. But for all of us, I have much more, Luke, made it intentional for me I'm going to leave these people, in good grace.
Yeah. Yeah.
like representing the church well, being happy, being encouraging, being other focused.
Yeah.
Right? That just goes a long way. And a lot of us don't do that.
No.
I think a lot of us go into is what can I give to this rather than like what can I leave them with? And so the reason why I bring this up is, and I think we're going to go to break, but this is, I invite all of our good listeners and our watchers today, when we go into these great days of Palm Sunday and then the Triduum coming up next week for Holy Week, and then Easter, the disposition, good people who are watching, the disposition when we go into the church is God is going to do something for me. What is he going to leave me with? Rather than what do I want this to look like?
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
And for me, there's a lot of orchestration behind the Triduum, a lot of movements, servers, deacons. Holy Thursday is one of them. We have a procession in the church. I'm washing, the feet of 12 men. But it really is, as much as we have practiced, because I need to get down below me, my heart, everything I need to do. Because it's true. I can't just sit there. I got to do stuff.
Right.
But my, if you will, my holiest masses are when I leave space for God to do something. So I want to return to that.
Yeah. Imagine that. Yeah. Right when we leave space for God, big things happen. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a 3 days about what I'm doing for God.
Yeah.
Get that out of your head.
Yeah.
It's what he's doing for us. But that's a very difficult thing.
It's hard.
And for the most pious, like for you and me, it's more difficult.
And, yeah.
We go in like, okay, what am I gonna?
Yep.
I'm gonna sing and I'm gonna pray loud and I'm gonna. So I wanted to put those two together of like leaven, to me, to answer your question, is leaving moments, leaving people with the goodness of God. And the beauty of the church, I could go on, but I think the goodness and mercy of God. And that because God leaves us something, namely his son. So
yeah, that's
break
great.
time, I think.
I'm going to leave him with a couple of things before we go to break.
Please.
One, you said C.S. Lewis, comparison is the thief of joy. I always love that word joy because I think, what do we want to leave people with? Ultimately, joy. And joy is not a feeling based on circumstance. Like I ate a bowl of Captain Crunch, delicious. Captain Crunch bowl is gone. I'm sad because my happiness was based on that moment. Whereas joy, I truly believe joy is a choice.
Yeah.
And it's always the best one.
Constant, yeah.
It's always the best one to just say, in this moment, I'm going to choose joy. And so I think that's part of, we can always leave people with that joy. And then, I don't know if you've heard this, a little silly, but I always love it, that joy, what joy stands for, right? Jesus, others, you. That's the order we should present everything in, especially as we come into the Triduum. Jesus, others, and then finally, you, myself, all those things. So let's head to a break.
The 6 stained glass windows on the west side of the church, which adorn the altar of St. Joseph, include 3 square windows that carry 9 symbols of the life of St. Joseph. The 3 theological virtues of faith, hope, and charity, and the 6 superlative virtues that Pope St. Pius X wrote into the traditional litany of St. Joseph. Joseph most prudent, Joseph most brave, Joseph most chaste, Joseph most just, Joseph most powerful, and Joseph most faithful.
Welcome back, everybody tuning into Omni Via today. Myself, Father Hochhalter, and Luke Hellwig. It's been great. We're moving our way down through Lent. I have a certain, the question remains, and I don't want to get stuck on this, but will this continue beyond the Lord's resurrection? So we're not there yet, but I have a good feeling about it.
Great.
So I think the Lord will let us know, and this is what I want to talk about, Luke, in terms of the Triduum. I want to go back to the Harry Potter conversation. So
absolutely.
One of many, this isn't the only one, but I think what might be helpful for people if they're tuning into this conversation on magic versus divine life in the supernatural world. In other words, like superhuman power and changing reality, so to speak, versus the author of reality coming through it.
Yeah.
So he's not changing it because he's the one doing it, unlike a wizard or unlike a magician or unlike a witch.
Right.
So to this point, right, and to put these together, and I hope it's helpful for everybody, is walking into the Triduum. the three highest points of our Lord's life.
Yeah.
Right, and right there next to it, but because it was it's a different, right, and the church approaches it differently with the birth of Christ, the conception of Christ, which is actually this week on Wednesday, beautifully the Annunciation, which started everything with Mary. In us approaching Good People, Holy Thursday, and then Good Friday, Luke, and Holy Saturday, is really to walk into the church doors and expect God to do something in me, to want God to do something in me.
Yes.
And to recognize that although these three liturgies are a replay, a reenactment, if you will, let's use the church's language of a memorial, right? So I don't literally have the apostles in front of me, but I memorialize that by asking 12 men in the parish to be washed.
Yeah.
So I want to make that distinction because we're not trying to get as close as possible. We're not sitting on the floor. Some people have that, like a reenactment. That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
We're not copycat.
Right.
We're memorializing. And you don't decide that, and neither do I. The church does.
Right.
How do we memorialize the Last Supper the best? How do we memorialize the cross the best, right? Yeah. So that's very important, is that you and I don't pick and choose parts. The church says this is how we memorialize it because it's our Lord's spouse.
Yeah.
And so the point is that the great saints, like I think of St. John Eudes. So Margaret Mary Alacoque has really like the popularity of Sacred Heart.
Your least favorite saint.
Yes.
We got to dive back into that sometime.
Yeah, we do got to go dive into that because she gets all this popularity for the Sacred Heart. And, traditional Catholics have this devotion to the Sacred Heart. But St. John Eudes, in a really beautiful way, really comes before her. And he made this point that the Christian life is summed up as allowing Jesus to live his life over and over again, mystically, so by grace, in one's heart.
Yep.
And friends, that's what this is. It's Jesus living his life in us and washing feet and kissing a cross and kneeling to receive communion, standing to receive communion and praying the Our Father and singing a beautiful chant helps that happen.
Yeah.
And so it comes down to worship, and that's the point is we want to go to the Lord in the way that he wants us to go to him because he's the host.
Yeah.
And so I would say to us, that's the big difference, is that with magic, something is being contorted or changed for the sake of the person doing it or for the sake of the other.
Yeah.
But that's not what the Lord is trying to simply bring up in us, his own divine life, which has eternal effects.
Yeah.
So today is a great example. The more today I allow Jesus to live his life in me, I'm going to be holier by the time I go to bed.
Right.
That's really hard.
Yeah.
Because I want to act like myself.
Right. Magic's easy. You wave a wand, the dishes do themselves.
You got it.
But even that's the, as you were talking about, this difference between, again, magic, contorting reality for my own gain, and then, the grace of God working in me also for my own gain, but a very different gain, which is an eternal one versus just like in this moment. And I thought of, that image in Harry Potter where they, use magic to wash the dishes. Meanwhile, and this is, sure, it's a humble brag, I guess, but right above my sink, I have that quote by Mother Teresa that says, wash the dish, not because it is dirty, but because you love the person who will use it next.
That's so great.
Now, every time I do the dishes, do I read that and think, I love my kids so much? Like, absolutely not.
No,
Most of the time, I'm like, dish again? I got to do these again? I just did them yesterday. And I think that's the spiritual life so often. It's like, wait, I got to go to Holy Thursday Mass. I did that last year. I can tell, I've been to enough. I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. But to your point, we're missing the point. And if the church didn't find it important, if God didn't want to change something in us each and every year through that, then we wouldn't have it. There would be revelations, or the great saints would be like, hey, guess what? We actually don't need the Triduum anymore. It's not helping. But it really is, And I think it's interesting too, because even, as my kids, 12 and 10 now, kind of, especially in Lent, so like, why do we do Lent? Because like, we know Jesus rose from the dead. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's a great
good,
point.
Good.
It's like,
absolutely.
and I think that is the tension. I know I feel it especially on Good Friday. You're like, man, we're really trying to act real sad, but like, we know the end of the story. 2 days from now, we get to rejoice and party.
Great insight.
But just as, Jesus actually did those things, they're still great examples of what our life looks like. And yeah, if we don't once a year be reminded that it takes great suffering to lead to great resurrection, then we're going to miss it in the little ways it happens in our life. You get an offender bender and you're like, God, this is the worst day of my life. And probably not. It's probably not, but also like, but if we believe in the crucifixion and the death, and that through that Jesus brought about the salvation of the world, then I can also probably believe that this little fender bender is going to create some good in my life. And again, and it's not always like, 1 + 1 = 2. Sometimes it's just humility, it's just suffering, and you get to unite to Christ. So yeah, I think with all that, like, that's why I think it's so important that what we do each and every Sunday and throughout the week at the church should also be manifesting itself in our daily lives. So like, what are your thoughts on that? How I've heard it described as like living the liturgical calendar. Like,
yeah.
Why do we have seasons? What should we be doing in our homes to help like live this kind of stuff out?
So I think that's all the more reason to change the attitude. So whether it's disposition or attitude, Luke, it's okay. I'm coming to church. So it could be in the middle of July, a Sunday of July, or it could be something as high level as Holy Thursday coming up next week, right? The attitude of, okay, the Lord is going to do something in me. I'm going to worship what he did. Mm-hmm. When that encounter happens, and this, the highest point of this, I've preached about it several times, is what happened with Mary. So Mary had the closest, most intimate encounter with God, right? He took her flesh. Yeah. We cannot become more closely united with a person. Mother and son was that example that God gave to us with the incarnation.
Yeah.
But what does she do? So this is beautiful, right? This is beautiful about the Gospels and Scriptures. She encountered God, and it moved her to do something. And in Mary's case, it was to show friendship.
Yeah.
And so hospitality, sensitivity, mindfulness, affection, that was the result of an encounter with God. So I would hand off, to answer your question, is to live liturgically, it's to receive that at Mass, to receive it at church, pay attention to the homily and the Scriptures, and let the Lord guide you in terms of, okay, now what do I do with this? Mm-hmm. Right? And so, the last week was a great example because we had the solemnity on Thursday, March 19th, mm-hmm. And so for the solemnity of St. Joseph.
Yeah.
And so we know, knowing more about it, the church asks us actually to remove penances, to remove a penitential day and to celebrate it. Yeah. So you don't have to read a book on theology. It's how do you celebrate a high school graduation? How do you celebrate dad's big sale? How do you celebrate mom's test results came back negative? The celebration is intuitive in us. We're gonna go out for ice cream. We're gonna have the kids' favorite meal. We're gonna go out back because dad loves the backyard. He wants to barbecue, right? So for me, it was great because I got together with deacons and their wives, and we celebrated St. Joseph Day. Beautiful meal and dessert, and a glass of wine, because it wasn't just another day.
Right.
And so I think, Luke, to answer your question, is to put faith in what God will do with you in those moments, but it presumes you're there.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's not about guilt. It's a matter of, if the attitude can change, wait, the Lord's going to do something in me and I don't want to miss out, then we'll be at Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Holy Saturday. Mm-hmm. So I've said enough.
Yeah, no, that's great. Let's take a break and then we can pick this back up after. Awesome, we're back. Again, Father, the Triduum, looking forward to it. I strongly encourage, if you haven't made it to those masses in the past, to even just pick one. All three is the best, right? Holy Thursday, Good Friday.
They really are one liturgy.
Yeah. The Easter Vigil, beautiful. But, try to come. I know when Sarah and I had younger kids, we would kind of trade off. But I know you don't mind crying kids in the back. Bring them,
That's what it's for.
Put them to bed, bring a blanket, let them sleep in the pew. It's fine, Anyway, but with that, so the Triduum is a great example of 3 days that we can really orient our life towards the graces that God wants to give. But for those that maybe can't make the Triduum, or just even throughout the week, throughout the months, how do we bring liturgy into our homes?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Luke. You're good at, let's make this kind of like, okay, that's a good idea, but like, what do I do? So here's 2 things. So I talked about, before the break, on St. Joseph's Solemnity, I had the 3 deacons over, Deacon Bachmeyer, Deacon Fleck, and Deacon Junt with their wives over for dinner at the rectory. And so one, Solemnity, so we feasted, but it's more than that, right? So next to my parish staff, who had the day off, so that's an example, right? So we're like honoring work here, and so we decided as staff that we close the office and we take the day off to remind ourselves of how important the work is. So when we're not there, to remind ourselves to step back, acknowledge the solemnity. On Thursday it was St. Joseph, and so the families could be with their families, and the tie there is St. Joseph was holy because he was a family man, the husband of Mary and the virginal father of Jesus. But so as I was speaking, office staff, Father Zwak, Father Gardner, but my co-workers in the vineyard are the deacons, right? And so I work with them. And so we can share work, and we can talk about the work, talk about the parish on the feast day of a man who's known for being the worker, right? So the craftsman. Now we celebrate that day of his May 1st, and I talked about that in my Anima Mea last week. But that's like a great example of how that leaves. But coming up, and so here's a way that liturgy tells us what to do. At the end of the Good Friday veneration of the cross, okay, it's not a mass, there's no consecration, we just take what's left over from Thursday. We enter the church quietly, we always do that. However, there's a real strong encouragement, and Father Zwak will do this because he has the liturgy, to depart the church in silence, because to put it colloquially, it's like the funeral of our Lord. And you don't leave a funeral. I have funerals all the time. They don't leave loud. They're quiet. Many are crying. We might be singing for a while, but there's not exactly those that are sober about death. They're not chatting it up yet because we have the burial yet.
Yeah.
And so I'd offer that to the people of, okay, so we're leaving the church in silence. Maybe we need to do an hour. Say, hey kids, you don't got to go to bed, but go in your rooms or do something quiet. You can play alone, but no noise, right? No speaking.
Yep.
That's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
And so just a little push to the parents who are like, my kids aren't quiet. They're not quiet because they never have to be.
Yeah.
It's like anything else in life. Just have them do it and they'll get good at it. But that's, I know, before we turn into a parenting session.
Yeah,
that's
right.
But that's a great example, right?
Yeah.
So I leave the church in quiet. Maybe I could bring that into my home for like an hour. There it is.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned it earlier, right? This idea of it's not difficult, or it's difficult, it's not hard, whatever words you want to use. But even with it's like, okay, what is the day? What is the church telling me the importance of today is? Holy Thursday, right? The washing of the feet, humility, Jesus, saying goodbye to.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, how can you bring that into your home for that day?
Yeah.
Good Friday, it's a day of silence. It's a day of unknown. The disciples are scared, right? They definitely didn't leave the foot of the cross going, well, like, hey, what are you doing for breakfast tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and again, like, we don't have to, because we've talked about this before, we got to be careful not to over spiritualize. It's like, nope, from Friday at 3 p.m. until I go to Easter Mass, I ain't talking to anybody. I'm just, covering myself in sackcloth and ashes. Like, if you feel called to that, go for it. But
most of us are not.
But how can we incorporate these little things?
Yeah.
And then I think just in general, I really liked what you said about solemnity and feasting. I think as Catholics, we can be really good at fasting because it makes a little more sense. Like, oh yeah, I suffer. Yeah. But feasting well is, I think, hard. because sometimes we can turn it into indulgence. But again, just one practical thing that a good priest friend of mine encouraged myself, and we do as a family, is we each kind of identified our 5 top saints, which is like first name, middle name, the saint on your birthday, the saint, your confirmation saint, and the saint on the day you were baptized. So just getting to know those 5 saints, learn their feast days. And so every time it's that feast day, we usually go out for ice cream.
It's great.
It's something simple, but
So good.
how can we, like you said, okay, the times that we're called to officially come to the church, to be incorporated with Christ and experience Him. But what are the ways we can be looking outside of that to also bring Christ into our daily and weekly time?
And to be the leaven, right?
Exactly.
We should do a show just on this. We could give to the people lots of ideas.
Yeah,
I think, and you'll see like, oh, this isn't actually hard to do at all. It's not. I think you just have to get in the habit of it.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, exactly. But with that, it's time to move on to something
good.
less spiritual, but no less impactful to the good people of St. Anne's. And that's, of course, the examination of nonsense.
All right.
So you picked up a new Air Hornet Menards?
Yes.
Okay, good. Whew. I was a little nervous there because
Sound it.
yeah, not yet. 3, 2, 1, and then you sound it. First, Father, the filters, and then the music.
You love this.
I do. It's fun. It's just fun. You get all the fun of answering the questions. This is my part of the fun. I get to spice up the
I like
intensity.
it. I like the spice.
So you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Do you cut your own hair or go somewhere to get it cut?
I go somewhere.
Okay. Would you recommend them?
Yes.
Okay. How long can you hold your breath?
Outside of water,
Yes.
60 to 70 seconds.
Okay. Maybe we'll put that to the test on
Sure.
a later podcast.
That'd be fun.
What
I like it,
conspiracy theory do you kind of believe is true?
0.
None. No conspiracy theories. We landed on the moon.
Yes.
Okay, good. Who's your favorite Marvel superhero?
The Incredible Hulk.
Would you rather always talk like a pirate or always walk like a penguin?
Talk like a pirate.
Okay, the homilies are getting way better. If you had to eat a crayon, which color would you choose?
Green. I'm done.
Can you touch your nose with your tongue?
Only on Tuesdays.
Ooh. Which movie or TV show do you quote most often?
Probably The Dark Knight.
Okay.
I don't think that's good.
Rainy day or snowy day?
Snowy.
And then which piece of clothing do you no longer wear but you can't throw away?
My track uniform.
Okay, from high school
And college.
and college.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny. I have way too many of those things.
Yeah. I will never throw them away.
Yeah. For
But
me,
if I put them on, it's a disorder. So.
yes, exactly. For me, it's like all the shirts that I got on the retreats I went to in high school, which I'm just like, I'm never gonna wear this again. But it like, as every time I see the article of clothing, I'm like, oh, remember? That was a good time. I've got way too many of those kind of clothes. So track uniform, like the nice short shorts.
Right. Yeah.
Sleeveless, or did you have sleeves?
No. So we had tank top and compressions.
Yep.
And then we also had a singlet.
Okay.
Like the Olympic
Yeah,
guys wear,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Some,
Dang.
yeah.
What colors? Well, where'd you go to high school?
Well, no, I went to a Catholic high school in Dickinson, Trinity.
Yeah.
So that was red and white. That was just like a very typical later 90s. But then in college, at one college I was blue and white.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other college was purple and silver.
Oh, interesting.
So
Do you hang them up, or are they just in a drawer somewhere?
they are both hung up.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, I like it. Very good.
So I noticed it's like when I go back to, to get a shirt, like that's not my blacks. It's there. Anyway,
Yeah.
Next time.
I imagine it stands out in your closet. A lot of black in your closet, purple and silver really stands out. Well, great, Father. As always, this is good, and again, good people of St. Anne's. We hope that you continue to enjoy the podcast, and again, feel free to comment. Feel free to let us know what you think, and especially again, as these next 2 weeks of Lent, just an encouragement to just dig a little deeper, find out again. Maybe Lent's been more about kind of what am I getting out of it, but as Father and I have talked about today, like maybe just change that mindset to like, okay, actually, what does God want me to get out of these last 2 weeks? So until next week, we'll see you later.
No point. Nice job.
Did it.